When you think about fine whiskey, it's not just the flavours and aromas that come to mind, it's the feelings and emotion that it represents. It's the care and dedication of master distillers and the culture and heritage of Scotland that give us pause with each sip. Looking back at the history of Scotch whisky, it has taken centuries of fervent dedication and persistence to develop the outstanding expressions that have left a lasting legacy around the world. It's against this backdrop that we're excited to reveal stunning and distinctive single malt release with a rich history that you can be a part of. A release that celebrates the innovators who have influenced history to get us to where we are today. Before we delve into the bottle itself, let us give you a little background. Glenlivet was founded by whiskey legend George Smith all the way back in 1824. It was the first legal distillery in Scotland, with most whiskey producers at the time being illicit. Smith was granted a distillery licence by the Duke of Gordon, and he set about creating excellent whiskey from the get-go. This was the beginning of a long and prosperous journey for George Smith, and which would eventually lead him to becoming one of the great pioneers of the Scotch whisky industry. As the years went by, word of Glenlivet's whisky spread around Scotland and beyond, and those in the United States soon got a taste for the incredible spirit that was being produced in the heart of Speyside. From then on, there was no looking back, and today, the Glenlivet is one of the most popular single malts in Scotland, the US, and around the world. In fact, the distillery became so popular in the early days that it was one of very few Scottish distilleries that remained open throughout the Great Depression, with its closure only coming in World War II. Americans developed such a love for the Glenlivet that even during Prohibition they wanted to get their hands on it. And this is where Abe Rosenberg comes in. A prominent figure in the Scotch whisky industry, the New Yorker imported thousands of bottles in the post-Prohibition era. Somehow, he also managed to get whiskey onto American shores during the years where alcohol was illegal. This naturally turned him into something of a legend. While Abe was importing whiskey, much of it blended, he developed a taste for the single malts used in the creation of the blends. And this, in turn, allowed him to develop a rather sophisticated nose and palate. During World War II, he started buying many single barrels from some of Scotland's best distilleries, including Glenlivet. By the time of his passing in 1994, he had amassed a huge collection of around 4,000 single casks, filled with some of the best single malt produced in Scotland over the past century. An incredible feat that few would be able to compete with. Abe saw something in single malt that most wouldn't see for decades, and this allowed him to be one step ahead of the rest. When we heard Abe's incredible story and dedication to advancing single malt whiskey, we felt it only fitting to release a bottle to commemorate his contributions, and allow his legacy to enjoy a prominent place in whiskey cabinets around the globe. Among the many incredible casks that remain from Abe's original collection, none was more prolific than a 50-year-old barrel distilled at Glenlivet in 1968. Since Abe sadly never got around to bottling the cask himself, when we were presented with the opportunity to release this extraordinary cask, we knew we had to get it right. It was important to honour George Smith and Abe Rosenberg by giving the utmost attention to detail, and it was imperative that we capture the spirit of these extraordinary gentlemen. We're really excited to show you what we've come up with. Let's take a look.
Housed in a hand-carved wooden display case created by the master craftsman at Croglan, this release exudes quality before you've even laid eyes on the bottle. The case is inspired by the aesthetics of a whiskey cask, naturally, and it's absolutely stunning. Upon opening the door of the case, you'll see the immaculate bottle displayed inside, along with the certificate of authenticity attached to the back of the door. The year the whiskey was produced, the same year that Abe Rosenberg purchased the cask, is engraved on a silver plaque situated on a wooden band at the top of the box, while the Cask 88 logo is proudly displayed at the bottom. The bands are reminiscent of those used to hold casks together, while the silver plaques complement the presentation. The bottle itself comes from one of the finest glass producers in Italy and was designed meticulously to beam sophistication from every angle. Each limited edition bottle is adorned by a bespoke tampered silver sleeve and silver neckband, carefully created by one of Scotland's finest silversmiths, Hayward and Stott, and engraved with the utmost attention to detail. With an aura of luxury surrounding every aspect, this whiskey is one that will be the centerpiece of any whiskey cabinet and will draw the attention of friends, family, and colleagues. It's a masterpiece that is one of the most visually striking expressions of all time. This is a bottle that demands appreciation. And we haven't even talked about the whiskey itself.
The flavour profile and notes in this dram are as enticing as any that have ever passed our lips. The nose is rich, sweet and full-bodied, with an intense infusion between the spirit and the cask being entirely obvious from the beginning. The dark mahogany hue confirms that the successful marriage of Scotland's finest single malt and the best sherry wood from Spain. The taste is absolutely astonishing. An explosion of flavour, a wonderful combination of Iberian fruit and creamy caramel, mingled with vanilla foundations only found in crack single malts that have had the luck of maturing for over half a century. The notes fill your palate and slow walks back and forth, leaving you in a euphoric state. The finish is just as grand, and this fine single malt doesn't cross the line abruptly. There's an intense warmth that remains for some time. It's the sweetest whisky dream you can ever imagine, and with each sip, you're left with an even deeper sense of fulfillment. For the few that get an opportunity to experience this exclusive single malt, it'll be a moment that will be remembered for a lifetime.
In keeping with our commitment to releasing this historic whisky, we're really ecstatic to offer these bottles for just £6,800. With the huge amount of interest in premium Glenlivet expressions and the incredible story behind the cask, this is a really rare opportunity. Without a doubt, these bottles will be an instant classic, and once they sell out, it's unlikely you'll ever see a similar release again, especially not at this price point. As a special bonus for tuning in, we're giving you a bit of a head start before these bottles are listed for sale to the general public. Click the link below, and you can immediately reserve your bottle. So, don't delay. Reserve your bottle today for £6,800 and get the most rare and what will become known as one of the best releases of 2019 on your shelf. Slanjava.